This video is brought to you in part by Chrono.gg. Chrono.gg is a great website that sells one video game per day at an incredibly low price. If you want to support myself and a good outlet for picking up your games, check out chrono.gg/downwardthrust. You may have heard of this little card game called Hearthstone, a game that many people love, but definitely a game that has changed a lot since its release in 2015. There are two types of Hearthstone players out there: constructed and arena players. You might dabble in both, but chances are, if you play Hearthstone, you do prefer one over the other. Since the beginning of time with Hearthstone, these two modes have been very different, and that was important because the people who wanted each mode wanted it to stand on its own. On one hand, you have constructed, the meta mode where you craft a deck and compete against someone else who has also crafted a deck. You climb the ladder and see how far your deck can go. On the other hand, you have Arena, where you create a deck of 30 cards from a drafting system of choice. The game offers you 3 choices each pick, and it's kind of a fun way to play the game because you often end up with a deck that has never been seen before, good or, and sometimes, bad. Arena is such a fun mode. Everyone has a random deck, and the drafting system does reward players who can not only tell good cards from bad ones, but also cards that have synergies with other cards they have already picked. You get to experience all of what Hearthstone has to offer, given the wildly different decks people carry with them into Arena. So it's kind of a two-part mode. You've got the draft, and then the actual game. With some knowledge, a bit of luck, and some good play, you can climb to the top of Arena fairly consistently. You're not going to end up with a good deck all the time, and that's really the beauty of it. Not everyone else is going to either. So what ends up happening is that you have all these random players in the arena with these random, crazy, unique decks, trying to make the best use of them, and most of the time they contain cards that you don't really see in constructed play. Most of the time, those cards kind of suck or are really situational. But some of those cards can create the most unique and fun games like Mayor Noggin Fogger, Knuckles, or the Boogie Monster. Obviously, you're not going to see these cards in constructed because they're really not consistent, but often they are the best cards on offer when you're playing in Arena, which give players some really bizarre yet really fun decks. The obvious downside to Arena is that it's not very consistent. Sometimes your deck is going to work, others it will not. Sometimes you'll face opponents of equal card quality, and others you'll get steamrolled over or steamroll them. The random nature of the draft ensures that there's very little that can be expected, but really that's one of the reasons people love the mode, or in some cases hate the mode as well. And without any limitations on card capping, you wouldn't be surprised to see an arena mage with 5 polymorphs or a warrior with 8 different weapons. You might have your opponent play Magma Rager in a deck, and without an answer or the right hero power, you might get hit in the face 3 times before you can get it off the board. Or Major Domo, Mini Mage, Junkbot, or Cursed Blade. Do you even remember these cards? That's how Arena was for a long time, up until recently. Anything can happen, weird decks in this roulette-style game mode. A very random yet satisfying mode because it was random. The beauty was you didn't have to buy any cards or packs. You could get any card from any arena run, so it was a good way to spend gold if you just wanted to have some good old-fashioned fun. When you contrast that against Constructed, the two game modes become night and day right away. Constructed is all about preparation, crafting the right cards, and crafting a deck that will beat out other meta decks. For a lot of people, that means going on the internet, finding a tier 1 deck list, spending a lot of money gathering cards, and drafting that specific deck. I like Constructed, but it is a very limiting mode, especially since everyone is just playing the same meta decks over and over and over, even at rank 20 or 15, let alone Legend. I very much appreciate, on the other hand, the surprise of an arena run, and having unexpected games where really anything is possible. So in the past, these two modes have really been quite separate. But that has changed over the years. Today there is a homogenization happening between these once very distinct game modes. Playing Arena is starting to feel very much like playing a constructed experience, given 2 reasons: Hearthstone's seasonality and the changes to Arena drafting. In February of 2016, Hearthstone was split up into Wild Mode and Standard Mode. In Wild Mode, you can play any card ever released, yet in Standard Mode, the game only allows you to play recently released cards. With the release of each new expansion, old cards are pushed out, of standard mode to keep the card pool manageable. It also makes it easier for players to just jump in by removing the blockade of a bigger card pool. More importantly though, it makes it easier for Blizzard to balance the total card pool since they release 100 plus cards with every new expansion. Without a standard mode, balance would pretty much be impossible. This seasonality affects both Constructed and Arena. The problem with seasonality is that the total card pool, while it does remain relatively the same size as new cards are cycled in and out, also grows more powerful. Card quality since the beginning of Hearthstone has only gone up. Today, cards are way more powerful than they have ever been, and each new expansion seems to up the card quality across the board every single time. The once noble River Crocolisk and Chillwind Yeti are but a few examples of 2 and 4 cost minions that would never be used today in Constructed. They've been replaced by better 2-drops and better 4-cost cards that have not only had better stats on the base level, but also have some added benefit on top, be it a Battle Cry, a Death Rattle, a Taunt, something to that extent. So not only are they straight up better stat for stat, but their card effects also allow them to synergize with other cards to create meta decks and synergies between other cards. Essentially, they make other cards better too. The main problem of having cards get better over time is that the old cards no longer remain relevant, which is exactly why standard mode was designed. It allows Blizzard to continue making really powerful cards knowing that the standard cycle is 2 calendar years. But over the course of the last few years, the power level of cards has been growing out of control. We have a system now where better and better cards continue to push out less better cards every expansion, and that has an interesting side effect on Arena. Today's Arena decks are insanely more powerful than decks of old. You almost feel like you're playing Constructed, seeing as how cards are so good today, and the choice between them in the Arena draft is so incredibly obvious. While seasonality has a lot of upsides in Hearthstone, it has also led to player decks becoming so powerful that you mistake them for being Constructed. And since everyone has such powerful cards, the games themselves turn into something you'd see in that other game mode. While this isn't always the case, it's happening often enough to be a problem. And it only gets worse when you consider the changes announced this month to how drafting works in Arena. Instead of a random 3-card selection, now each round of drafting will give you 3 cards of equal power level to choose from, the theory being that each round should be a hard decision. But no matter what 3 cards you get, chances are they're better cards than you would have seen in any prior expansion. Seasonality has caused the standard card pool to be weighted so heavily with powerful cards, such that any given choice will give you, on average, a much better card than in the past. This is backed up and supported by the skyrocketing of Hearth Arena deck scores over time. It wouldn't be a problem if it was a rare occurrence, but when everyone is drafting really powerful decks, you start to enter this weird state where Arena starts to look like a mini Constructed mode, and since occurrence boosts even further weight the card pool towards recent decks, which are always more powerful, decks continue to get out of control in Hearthstone Standard Arena. Adding in the guaranteed rare card or above on picks 10, 20, and 30, and it makes it even more crazy. Earlier this week, there was a hotfix that was introduced that apparently increased the amount of below average picks while drafting, but honestly, it still feels pretty bananas in Arena right now. I don't think these changes were enough to bring Arena back to where it used to be though. Today it just seems like the average deck is way too high quality given all this information. It makes Arena less fun when the games feel like you're almost playing a Constructed level deck. Not all of us want that very rigid experience. And that's the real problem. Hearthstone Arena is no longer the fun it used to be. Draft a creative deck, make the best use of it, and have interesting gameplay experiences using cards of all qualities. Veteran players want Arena to be that mode that doesn't feel so restricting and rigid. They don't want to see and play against the same constructed cards that appear in everyone's favorite Tier 1 meta deck. If we did, we'd just go play Constructed. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts below regarding Hearthstone's Arena versus Constructed debacle that I currently laid out in this video. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll see you guys in our next video.